Okay, hello again. Welcome back. It's been a little while, it feels, since we've done one of these. I suppose it's not really, it's only a few days. Today's lesson, like I said, we're going to start some stuff on data. And we're going to look at stem and leaf diagrams, which I imagine for a lot of you will be brand new. So I'm going to start by just making up a stem and leaf diagram. I'm going to draw it on here so that you can see what one might look like. And we'll talk about why it's called a stem and leaf diagram and the key features that you must include. So on a stem and leaf diagram, usually read it left to right, although sometimes they can be arranged differently. But in general, on the left, I have the stem. Which usually or often represents the largest digit in the data that I'm talking about. So let's say that this data is the heights of some plants that have been growing, and I'm collecting their heights and I'm organizing it into a stem and leaf chart. And the first column represents the tens. So this one here, everything on this line is going to be 20 something. Everything on this line is going to be 30 something. So that's the stem down the side. And then I put the leaves on. So let's suppose my data looks like this for the first few leaves. Well, that would mean that this plant was 21 centimeters high. This plant was 23 centimeters. So was this one, and that one was 25. So the leaves represent individual values. And the whole purpose of the stem and leaf diagram is it kind of combines some of the features of a bar chart, because it combines the different variables into groups, the different pieces of data. It groups all the data. So if I've got something like this, 42, say 45, 46, 49, 50, something like that, then you can get a general feel for what the shape of the data is, because you've got this kind of bar chart effect going on. But you can also see the specific pieces of data individually in a nice compact way. So that's what a stem and leaf diagram looks like. The stem on the left, these are the leaves on the right. And there's one more important thing that it needs, which is a key. Now usually, like I said, this stem represents the tens, but it could represent hundreds, or it could represent the whole number of parts, and this might be an integer, so this might be 2.1. We don't know yet because I haven't put a key in, but I am going to have it represent the tens. Oops, so my key is going to be 2, that's the stem, slash 5 equals 25 centimeters. So very quickly, this is not a difficult topic, but like I said, I imagine it's new for a lot of people. I'm very quickly going to fly through and show you how to construct a stem and leaf diagram using some data that's not in any order. So here's my data. Let's suppose this is the ages of some people attending a concert. And we're going to arrange these ages, where they all are, into a stem and leaf diagram so that it's nice and easy to read out some of the pieces of data, some of the important points like the median in particular, and to see what kind of shape the data has. So I'm going to start by drawing my stem and leaf diagram. I don't know what this line is called, if it even has a name. We'll start with that name, and I'm just going to have a glance over the data, see what kind of range I'm talking about. Well, that's probably my smallest there, 9. So that's 0 tens. So my tens will have to start at 0. And what's my biggest? I can see a 34. So you got 43 in fact. So that's probably my biggest there. So my tens are going to need to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then each piece of data I'm just going to go through. I'm just going to change the zoom so you can see the whole thing. Just to go through really quickly and add, in no particular order, more or less the order that they're here, add these pieces of data onto my diagram. 29, 29, 26. I'm crossing them off as I go to make sure I don't miss any and to make sure I don't count any twice. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause this and I'll come back in a second. You won't notice any times elapsed, but everything will just appear. Okay, so that's that done. You can see all the data has been entered into the stem and leaf diagram. There it is. It's not in order. One of the advantages of the stem and leaf diagram is it makes it easier to put the data in order because you group it into smaller chunks. So it's kind of, you do the ordering in 2 stages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this, if we can, just group it, copy it to the next slide, which is not black. Oh dear. Just fix that. Oh, I don't want him. Oh dear. There we go. So there's the data there. And I'm going to write it out again. This time I'm going to put it in order. And we'll be able to do a few little things with it really quickly. So first line doesn't need anything doing to it, 0, 9. The second line, 1. So I've got a 2, a 4, a 5, 1 6, 2 7s, and 3 8s. Here, 20 column, I've got a 1. I'm going to pause it again. You don't listen. So there's the completed stem and leaf diagram. And it allows us to do a couple of things nice and easily. Firstly, I can find the range, because I can easily identify the largest. Here's the largest, 43. And I can easily identify the smallest, 9. So the range of people visiting this concert is 43 minus 9, which is what, 34. You'll notice I've forgotten my key. So there's my key, just to make sure everything's there. The other thing that's nice and good for is the median. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross off the first and last member of the set each time. And because it's everything's in order, first, last, first, last, first, last, so on. Because everything's in order, I should be able to find the median. There it is. So the median is 26. And I can even use it to find the quartiles. Now the quartiles are a bit like the median. If the median's the person who's halfway, Then the quartiles are the people who are a quarter of the way. That's the lower quartile. Lower quartile is the person who's 1/4 of the way. So I can do that, because what I'll do, if that's the median, if I just look at these people and find out who's in the middle of that, oh no, stick with the blue. Find out who's in the middle of that, then we'll get the quartile, the lower quartile. So first and last, 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 first and last. Get left with 2 this time. So the middle is in the middle of those. So the lower quartile is 17.5, 1/4 of the way. And then, of course, it might not surprise you to learn that there's an upper quartile. Upper quartile. There's the same thing on the other side. Super quick. So from here, first, last, first, last, first, last, first, last, first, last. It's in the middle of 30 and 29. The lower quartile is 29.5. And we'll talk a bit more about why those numbers are important another time. That'll do for today. So make sure you bring any questions with you. And before you come, I would like you to just make up between 20 to 30 pieces of data. It can be ages, it can be shoe sizes. It can be whatever you want that we'll put into a stem and leaf diagram. It can be, I don't know, heights, if you want something in the hundreds. Just some numerical data that we can use to draw a stem and leaf diagram with. Piece of cake should be. I'll see you all tomorrow.